Hi guys, welcome to session 45 of Java Full Stack Made Easy. A bit late to release this particular video as I was busy with some other work. So obviously there are certain things which I have to do because YouTube is not my main source of income, right? And also there are only just around 150 plus subscribers on the channel. So obviously YouTube does not pay anything for the same. Anyways, let's go back to what we were discussing. So the previous session we talked about the JavaScript functions and events. So this was the last demo which I gave you where we spoke about creating JavaScript functions and passing in the arguments. And the JavaScript functions can be called with or without argument because arguments are not considered in JavaScript functions. So let's go ahead and talk about more advanced things with JavaScript. So in day 44, we talked about the events and the functions in JavaScript. Fine. So similarly, let's go ahead and talk about uh, the concept of day 5. And in today's session, we will be talking about more advanced JavaScript functions. So let's call it as day 45. Okay. So today's main topic is about callback functions. Fine. So we will be talking about what exactly callback functions are, why to use it, where to use it. Okay. We can also use functions as variables as well. Like for example, uh, in this case, what I'll do is, yeah, I was trying to just add the details. So I can have a function returning this a plus b, and then I can just say let x is equal to 1 and 2, that is 1 plus 2 to be returned back into x, which is something which we have been also doing in Java and all, right. So we can say console dot log and then x. Let's save it and let's run it on the browser. Okay, so it's a console logs. We have to inspect it to see it on the console, right? So you can see that my test function 3 and then 3 is being created here. Fail to load resource favorite icon. So that must be because I might have used some icon somewhere in my HTML. Okay. Anyways, yeah, it's not used. All right, no problem. Now the next point is that we can also create use these functions and all in a more complicated way. Functions in itself can also be passed as an argument to another function. So what does that mean? Calling a function as an argument to another function. So this is our simplest return value I'm storing. So these are the things that we have already done in Java as well. But I'll still be sharing this particular code with you where I'll say demo 1 using function as variable. Not just this, there are a lot more other things that can be done when using a function as a variable. Fine. So now let's go ahead and talk about uh, passing a function as an argument to another function. So what is that? That concept is called as callback functions in JavaScript. Let's call it as function callbacks. Okay. So what is a callback functions? A callback function is just a function uh, which we pass in to another function. Okay, so let me give you that definition also here. A callback is just what? A function we pass into another function. So functions can also be passed as an argument to another function, and that concept itself is called as callback functions into JavaScript. Now a very important point is, why do we use it, right? So this is used to run any code, means some code should be run after the main function completes. So in a sequential order, if we want to execute something, then at that time callback functions can come into picture. So we will say why it is used to run some XYZ code, okay, after the main function completes or finishes. Okay, so where do we want to use it? Obviously, when we want something to happen in what sequence. So if we want a sequence to be followed at that time, callback functions can be used. So let's go ahead and understand the syntax of callback functions and how do we use it. Okay, so let's now understand that with a very simple demo. So I am creating a function, right? So I'll call it as say hello. Okay, so that's my function, and in this particular function, the say hello function, uh, what I'll do is I'll just do a console.log here, console.log, and this function does what? This function, let's say, says hello. Okay, hello user, or maybe just a hello. Fine. So I'm creating a function which is like say hello. It is this function is greeting somebody, and I will create one more function. Let's call it as function greet or something. Okay, so while this particular greet function is created, I want this particular function to be called, and this function takes a name of the user. Okay, and I want to greet this particular person. Fine. So here I'm actually trying to call this function as an argument. So I want to make a callback. So what I will do here is I'll just write it as callback. Okay, so it's just a identifier as for now. Fine. So I will just say console.log, and the result of this particular function, that is greet function, should be what? This greet function should say hello is already there, right? So what I want is I want this particular uh, callback to be called here, that calls a callback, which actually gives us hello, right? And then I want a name to be given. Fine. So that's how I'm calling a callback function here. Callback. Okay. So let's save it. And this would say hello and then the user name. Fine. And these two functions are created, and this particular say hello function is been passed as an argument to this. Fine. So let's now go ahead and call the function greet here. Now greet function, if you notice, it takes two arguments. One is the name. So I'll just say the name of the user. Let's say Virat as the name of the user. And then it takes a callback function which is called here. Okay. So I have to pass that callback function. So that callback function is the say hello function which I am intending to call. So let's call that say hello. Fine. So let's save it and now see what's gonna be the result. So the expected result is first the callback has to be called and it has to print hello, and then the console.log name has to be called. So that should be hello Virat. Let's save it and go to the browser and see the result. So you can see that it is printing me hello Virat. So this is how callback functions can be used. Fine. So let's also go ahead and create a few more simple callback functions, and then we can go for the more complicated callback functions. So I'll just put copy this and put it into the repository demo2 first callback function, demo2 my callback. Okay, so callback functions are what? They're just the function which are passed as an argument to another function. Now this say hello had no argument, right? So it did not take any argument as for now. So what I will do now is that uh, I'll create it in a way where this say hello takes an argument. So let's say this save hello takes a name itself here. Fine. And this particular function prints the argument as well. Okay. So now this callback function, I'll say callback, and then I'm passing in the argument name here. Fine. So now when I call up this greet function, you notice that what will happen is this argument which I am passing in here, that is the name argument. So whatever name I give here, so I'm giving Virat, so Virat goes here, right? And callback function is being called, so that say hello will be called. and the name Virat will be passed here. So it should say hello Virat. So callback functions can take arguments as well. Fine. And based on the arguments that you have passed, it is going to give you that particular result. Okay, let's save it and run this piece of code and see the result. Now you can see it still gives me hello Virat itself. So, but the thing is that in this case, callback function is created with the argument. Fine. So I hope this very easiest demo is pretty much clear to you what is happening in the demo. There is a function called as greet that takes two arguments. One, a string argument. Second one, a function as an argument. So I'm passing this say hello as an argument here, and then I'm performing a callback. Okay, so which is completely valid. So what happens is this particular function calls this callback and then passes this argument. So this entire function is called here. An argument name is passed. So whatever name is been given, it is printed here. Fine. So let me just put this demo as well and call it as callback with argument. So demo 3 callback with arguments. Done. Fine. So now what I will do is in JavaScript we can go for the arrays as well. So let's create a simple array in JavaScript and see how arrays work. Now you might be thinking from callback, why did we switch to arrays, right? So I'm not like, since we already have learned about Java, so we'll not be focusing on the concept of looping, arrays and all again in JavaScript as well, because in this sessions I want to focus on the concept of full stack. Fine. So that's why my focus is not completely on completely on the basic, the fundamentals of programming, because we have already discussed about what variables are all about, what they can do, and how can we make use of the var type of variable, const type of variable, let type of variable, data types also we have discussed, looping and all are kind of same. So that way we can make use of the fundamental stuff like arrays and all those things can be used. Fine. So similarly, what I want to do now is that I want to actually make use of a array and show you array, and also there is one intention behind showing you this array, so we will understand that as well. So I'll create a very simple JavaScript array. Let's say let names equals to some names I want to create like Virat, Rohit, and maybe Surya. So this is an array I'm creating, and what I want from the array is I want to go for a for each. So you can see that there is a for each available here. So when I talk about the for each, if you look at this syntax over here, so you can see that there's something called as a callback function, right? Value and then the string and all those things are given. So I'll create a for each, and then in this particular for each, what I will do is yeah, as for now I'll just keep this for each as it is, and then for each I will create a function, and within that particular function, which will take, let's say, num as an argument, and then I will just do a console.log num. Okay, so there is a function that takes an argument and prints that particular argument. Fine. So function, let's give it some name. Let's call it as display function or something. Okay, so this is what I'm giving. And now when it comes to a for each, you will notice that when I pass this for each, it takes a callback function as an argument. So I'll just pass in a display here. Now you notice when I save it and try to run this, you will see that it is printing me console.log, right? So, oh sorry, it should be name here, not the number, right? So I'm passing the name and that the name. So now this for each takes a display function and calls this display function for every instance of this array that I have. So let's save it and you see the result. So you can see that Virat, Rohit and Surya is being printed. So the reason why I actually showed you the demo for array is that this for each takes an for each takes a callback function as an argument. So when we pass that particular callback function, at that time it is printing me the values of this variables. So for every instant it loops. For first instance it is Virat, so it takes this display function, takes this passes this parameter and prints that particular parameter here. So that's what a callback function is. So here it's a real-time use of a callback function. Fine. So let me copy this and also put this into repository and call it as a callback demo 3 with arrays. So demo 4 basically. So demo 4 callback with for each. So like we spoke about the JavaScript functions, not considering the arguments in the previous session. If you see this now, this I now in this case display function took only one argument. Now I am passing in the second argument for the display function, and I'll just call it as the idx, and I'll put a space and then print what is that second argument. Okay, I'll save it, and now you can see the second argument is nothing but the index position of these each elements. That's why I've given the value, that's why I've given the variable name as idx there. Similarly, it takes also the third argument, okay, which is gonna be an array. Let's just call it as ARY, and then once again we will concatenate it with a space, and it'll actually print us the entire uh, array. Okay, so let's do it this way. Save it, and there we go. So you can see that the third argument of that particular callback, which the for each takes, is the entire array. So it gives you the value, it gives you the index position, also it gives you the entire array. So if you want to make use of a value, you can make use of a value. If you want to make use of index, then you can also make use of a index. That way we can actually make use of the for a concept of callback functions. So I hope by this particular example you have actually understood what exactly a callback function does and how to write a callback function. Now let me just copy this particular stuff and put it into the repository with the callback taking few more arguments. So let's call it as demo 5. Again, callback with for each 2. Okay. So let's put this into the repository. Now callback functions, it's not necessary that while creating the callback functions, I have to in fact go for the separate function. What I can actually do is okay, just remove it from here and then directly put it here. So it is all possible. So let's save it, and if you see the result, it will still be the same, because that's how callback functions can even be called. So that's another syntax of creating a callback. Now that this display function, since it is a callback function, so it can also be created as anonymous, like having no name for the callback. Even this particular syntax is completely valid. So instead of creating a separate function, we can directly write a small function right within the arguments itself. So this actually saves the time when the function is very short. And where to use it, we can use it for quick task like logging or formatting kind of stuffs can be these type of things can be used. So let me copy this and put this also into the repository. Let's call this as demo 6 anonymous callbacks. Okay, demo 6 anonymous callbacks. So you can definitely create separate functions, but there is also a concept where we can pass in the anonymous callbacks, where a function can be directly passed as an argument to another function without creating a separate function. Okay, so now what we are going to do is, in the same concept of callback functions, let's try to create one more important JavaScript feature that executes the code anonymously, asynchronously. So what is this asynchronous concepts that are used in callbacks? So it is kind of a callback that runs later. That means it does not run immediately. Fine. So let's see one simple example on that, and we will understand the concept of asynchronous callbacks. Fine. So let's go ahead and create that. Okay. So what I will do now is first I'm going to create a set timeout function. Okay. So I'll be using a set timeout. So this set timeout once again takes the callback, right? So what I'm gonna do in here is let's say just a console.log as for now, and let's call this as start of my JavaScript. Okay. So similarly, now the set timeout function, I am now passing in the callback function as an argument. So I might create this particular function separately, or I can pass it directly here as well, right? So we know that. So I'm gonna say that this is end of my JavaScript. So I have a start and end of my JavaScript, and I'm telling you that we can create JavaScript functions that runs later. Fine. So that means asynchronous programming can be written into JavaScript. So I have a set timeout function, and that takes the callback function as its argument. So I am passing a function as an argument. So you can notice that I'm passing an anonymous function as an argument to this. And then after executing this function, it should run after some 2 seconds. So we will pass a 2000 milliseconds here. So now what this function does, so this function, I'm just gonna say this function prints something. So console.log, I'll be saying this will wait for 2 seconds, or maybe this will run after 2 seconds. Okay. So now since I'm creating asynchronous programming, so there is one function that has to run afterwards. That it means it has to run later, not immediately. So if we look at a simple program, then this line should run. This particular function has to wait for 2 seconds and then run, and then this last line has to run, right? So that is the normal sequence of flow of a program. But since we are creating a non-asynchronous callback, at that time what happens is these two lines will run because they have the time, whereas while this particular function is waiting, these two lines will be executed and this function will run asynchronously. So let's save it and understand it with the output. Okay, so let's go to the browser. Now you can see that there is a start of my JavaScript and there is an end of my JavaScript, and this is running after 2 seconds. We can give any time of our choice. Let's give 5 seconds to it, and now you can notice that start has happened, end has happened, and after 5 seconds this will run after 2 seconds has been printed, right? So it's kind of, since we have not discussed the concept of threads in Java, it's kind of a thread itself. I told you that in my full stack series, my major focus is on the things that we'll be using in the later sessions, right? So that's the reason I did not include concept of threads in Java. So this is our asynchronous callback function. So let's copy this and put this into the repository as well. So if the video lengths are more, then do cooperate with it, because there are certain topics which has to be covered up into the session. So let's call this as a synchronous callbacks. Hopefully that's correct. Okay, asynchronous callbacks. So now why this asynchronous callbacks are used? So what is it, and where to use it? So these type of callbacks are actually a callback that runs later. It does not run immediately, and these type of callback functions, the asynchronous callback functions, are used because some task would take time. That is, like for example, if you are loading the data from a database, it obviously takes time, right? So in such cases we can make use of asynchronous callbacks, and usually these are used in concepts like timers, API calls, animations, and the task that needs to be delayed. So there these asynchronous callbacks comes into picture. Fine. Similarly, let's go ahead and talk about the other type of callbacks. What I will do is I'll create the more advanced callback functions into my next session and wait for that particular session to be released. And see you in the next video. If you're liking in the series, do comment, share this so that I get more subscriber and it motivates me to create more videos, so that I also get some benefit out of it. If you subscribe to my channel, you lose nothing, but I gain the subscribers for the same. So see you in the next video. Thanks for your patience.